we'd like to know a little bit about your childhood.
Oh, right. Well, my childhood, as far as I'm concerned, was like every other child in the area, of course. And my town of Middlesbrough in the northeast of England was the biggest town in the world. Probably the only town in the world in my mind. And that's where we lived, played, and that's where I grew up. An industrial town, hard-working men, building ships, iron and steel. So we had rows of houses. We didn't have houses with flowers outside and trees and nice gardens. It wasn't like that. It was pretty grey. And in a large family, I'm the oldest of 7, I suppose I took a retreat in drawing. And I'd get my grandfather's pencil. He was a bricklayer. He always had a pencil behind his ear. And either a cigarette packet that was left or any piece of paper, and I would begin drawing. And I suppose that's how my drawing really started, as an escape from my realities. You know, so I see poetry. As a dyslexic, I don't see words. I hear sounds, I have feelings, I see colours. And as a child, that's how I'd see the world. You know, and I wasn't aware that I was seeing it different to anybody else. Obviously now I was. Well, I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate, because I have all the colours that exist really in the world in my studio. They're handmade, untouched, no additive, pure colour pastels. When I'm working with colour, tone is the most important thing for me, right? And getting the tones right, the colour will take care of itself. Because I've got these colours, I have all the reds, right, that exist. And a paint company comes along and they mix chemicals and they can double that and call it whatever they want. These are older than the planet, millions of years old, right? So I can do a heart from the deepest crimson, right? And then bring it right round to the brightest cadmium, right? And there you are, the whole arc of reds, right? The same with the blues. I've got all the blues, I've got all the greens, I've got all the browns, I've got everything, right? Sometimes I design because if I get commissions, I have to. But when I'm working just for work's sake, for myself, that's how it goes. And it might take minutes, it might take 15 minutes, and then it'll just start. And I don't know if I'm going to hit the paper like this, I don't know if I'm going to lay it down and hit it like this, I don't know if I'm going to throw stuff at it. It just starts. And then it finishes at the end. I don't stop till it's finished. Right? So I don't have tea breaks, I don't have lunch, I don't have breakfast, I only eat once a day, which is dinner time. If I eat, it stops it. So when I walk into my space, I'm in my temple, I'm there to go to work, not to sit around and not to have a look, not to feel sorry for myself or my ego to be an artist. It's my job, I go to work. And then I just do it. Then I stand back and I go, oh, I get it, okay. And then the title comes and it tells me what to write, so I write it down and I put the measurement and I sign it and I take it down. And if I feel like it, I'll do another one. I understand where it comes from, but it was never my intention to make a dark side and a light side. It wasn't until I heard people describing my work like that. And reading about Mackenzie Thorpe, the dark side and the light side. It's not that. The dark and the light isn't everything I do. I actually did an exhibition called Love, Life, Death and Hope. Because all them things, life and death is the same thing. You know, there's no difference of being alive, being dead to me. You know, it's a human process. There's nothing to even talk about. You know, so you might see a child, a big-headed child with a nice smiley face and a heart, but the picture might be empty with no houses. So the kid's got nowhere to live. So you see the kid on the street and they're smiling, and actually the parents got shot last night in a war, or they're a drug overdose. They're in Tokyo or Guatemala or London, right? And they're smiling. But look a bit deeper sometimes. The kid's not in a home, warm. The shoes are worn down. It's the same coat you saw them in last week. You know? There's no change in their life. They're still sitting there. So in my pictures, there's no landscape, there's no sky sometimes. The child is on their own. They look a bit deeper, right? And then you might see a man going to work in a real heavy dawn, and he has that burden, right? If he didn't have a workplace to go to, if he couldn't carry that burden, he wouldn't have the glory. He wouldn't have the love to go home to. That's what keeps him going, right? And there's the kid on the street holding a heart and saying, give me a chance. I've still got all of this. Help me, give me a goal, and I can do it. Give me a chance. And the man's saying the same thing. Help me, give me a chance, and I'll prove I can be a good father. I'll get my kids through college. There's hope and struggle and everything else to overcome that can bring you beauty. There's beauty in the darkest places, and that's what I'm trying to say.